Alright, this is my second attempt at recording this. The first time had no audio. Hopefully this time will work okay. We're going to recreate this part that we did in class today, and hopefully this will help to supplement those of you who were falling behind or who want to do this part again, or just want to see how I can do it in a little bit faster format. Alright, so we'll start by drawing this top sketch. Let's do File, New Part. Click on OK. We want to make sure we're in inches. And then we're going to sketch in the top plane. So let's right click and click Sketch. And then I'm going to start by drawing our 4 concentric circles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't get that one concentric, so I'll go ahead and add that relation. Let's kind of zoom in here. Click on the origin, and I'll make those concentric. Let's take away the coincident. Concentric. So that'll do. I'll accept that. And then let's put in the dimensions. So this inner circle has a radius diameter of 0.25. This next one has a radius of 0.25. A diameter of 0.5. And then this one has a radius of 0.375. So I'll do that times 2. And the last one has a diameter of 0.5 radius of 0.5, a diameter of 1. That looks pretty good there. While I'm zoomed in here, I might as well go ahead and create the 2 side lines that are going to, that one didn't work out. Undo. File. Redo. Okay. I'm trying to add the 2 side lines that make that slot. And it's giving me a tangent constraint there, which I don't want, but I'll go ahead and erase that later. I'm not sure why it's giving me this snap, but it's okay because we can just take it out. So let's just take off this tangent constraint because we don't want that. And I'm just going to drag this back over, get it kind of close to where I want it to be. Alright, that'll do for now. Let's go zoom out and zoom back in a little bit, and we'll draw 2 more circles on the lower half of this sketch. So 1, 2. I want to make sure that those are vertically centered beneath my other circles. So let's unclick this arc and make sure we have that point, and then our origin, and we'll make those vertical. Looks good. And then the center of those circles is 3.75 inches, 0.375 inches below the other circles. Ooh, is that right? Oh, sorry, no, it's 0.75, not 0.375, 0.75. Yeah, that looks better. Also here, if we want our dimensions to show in 3 decimal places, all we need to do is go into Options, Document Properties, Units, and then change this decimal value from 2 to 3 or 4, whatever you want. I'm good with 3 on this. And then those will all display to 3 decimal places. Alright, now let's add some more lines to the side of this. I'm just going to draw a line from the side of the top circle to the side of the bottom circle. And it gave me those tangent constraints that I want, so that's good. Hit Escape to cancel that tool, and then Enter to start it again. And then again, I'm going to draw from the side of this circle down to the bottom of this one. And again, it gave me the tangent constraint, so that's good. If I want to, or if you didn't get that, I can delete that, and we can add it again just by clicking on the circle and the line. And again, we make sure we have only the tangent constraint here. All the other constraints we don't really want. Alright. Now let's go ahead and let's trim some of these out earlier this time so that makes this a little bit less cluttered. So I'm going to go to the power trim option, and I'm just going to drag that through these kind of bottom circles here just to get them a little bit out of my way. I actually want to keep this bottom circle because we're going to use that in a little bit here. Actually, it's just the bottom of this one. So let's just trim that part too. We'll use the bottom of this circle here. Alright, now we need to make the slot portion of this bottom piece, so let's draw some lines for that. I'm just going to start from the corner here, going to come up not all the way up to the circle, then I'll come across and try and get that close, and then I'll come back down there. And then, unlike before, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the relations that make this vertical, and then that'll fix that up a little bit. And then I can just trim away the rest of that there. So that's looking pretty good. Let's do some more trimming. So let's go back to the power trim tool. We're going to trim out this bottom portion there, this inner portion of that circle, and then the outer portions of the sides of this. And that's looking pretty good. So I'll accept that. We still have to add some more dimensions here. So let's put in a dimension between the center of our top circle and the horizontal lines here. You notice that it automatically created this collinear constraint when I trimmed that line apart. So that's good. And this has a value of 1.25 inches. You can double check that on our drawing real quick. That looks good. And then we didn't put our dimensions in down here, so let's go ahead and do that. This outer circle should have a radius of 0.375. Again, we can check that in our drawing real quick. 0.375, right? And the thickness is that 1.25. So let's click on both of our circles, and then we'll place the dimension. We'll get 1.25. And then that should look pretty good. Last thing we need to do is make sure that this slot is at 90 degrees. So let's put that dimension here. So I'll click on the two side lines, and that gives me the dimension for that angle. I also do want to make sure that these lines go through my origin. So we can check that by, again, going into Add Relation, clicking on those lines, and then clicking on the origin. And if I do coincident, it'll just line that up. So we can do that again for the other side. So I'm going to unselect this line and then select the other line. I don't want the dimension on there, so I'm going to delete that or just remove it from the list. And then I'm going to click on coincident again. So that'll give me that. So I can accept that, and that looks pretty good. Now it's still lopsided. So what I need to do is I need to make sure this is symmetric. I mentioned in class that we can use that using the symmetric constraint. So let's look at that real quick. So I'm going to draw a vertical center line from the center of our top circles just above the top of the drawing. And then I'm going to use that to add a relation using, I can use either of these points, the center line and then the corresponding opposite point, and then use the symmetric constraint. And that makes that nice and symmetric. Looking pretty snazzy. Okay, so now we're all black, totally defined, should be good to go. So I'm going to exit this sketch. And I'm going to go into Features. I'm going to extrude this. Wait a second for it to respond. The height of that extrude is equal to this height here, which is this 0.25. So I'll make sure that this height is 0.25. 0.25. Accept. And then it'll give me my main block. Now I need to create an angled reference plane so I can do the side cutouts here. So you can see here I have an angled auxiliary view here and a detailed view here that gives me the dimensions of these side cutout, and then this distance here is given as this 0.4 inches. So the first thing we need to make is this plane that we can sketch on. So to do that, I'm going to go into Reference Geometry Plane. Wait for a second, so hopefully it'll respond. There we go. And then I'm going to click the top face of this object as the first reference, and as the second reference, I'm going to take this inner edge right there. You notice this making it orthogonal through that line and normal to my plane. I don't want it to be perpendicular, so I'm going to change this from perpendicular to angle, and I want the angle to be 30 degrees. And I want to check real quick and make sure that that's the actual 30 that I want and that I don't need to flip this. So if I need to flip it, I can just click on the flip button. But that looks good, so I'll accept that. Now we want to actually create a sketch on this new plane, so it's already selected. We'll go into Sketch, click on the sketch. Now we're sketching on my new plane 1, the angled plane. And I want to go normal to that plane, so I'll click on Normal 2. And then I want to create a circle kind of below the origin, and then I'll add the dimensions for that later. That looks pretty good. So the height of the circle, or the vertical distance, is actually measured from the center of this top circle. And that distance was given as 0.4 inches. And then the diameter of the circle is given as, let's just double check this real quick. The diameter is given as, or the radius is given as 1.25 inches. So we can change that to 1.25 times 2 or 0.25 diameter. That looks good, so I'll accept that, and we're going to use that to do a cut extrude. So go back to Features and then click Cut Extrude or Extrude Cut. I want to make sure that's coming kind of out of my part this way, so I need to flip the direction of that, and I want to do through all, just because I don't want to have to enter in a value for that. That looks pretty good, so I'll accept that, and I have that nice little cutout. Now the last thing I need to do is create a hole and a mirror, so I'm going to go to the Hole Wizard, And the hole wizard is really good every time you want to do a standard hole size or a series of holes, or chamfers, sorry, not chamfers, like a countersunk or counterbore or anything like that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find the position of this hole. It's asking for a face for the position to be undefined. So I'm just going to click on this angle plane here. The type right now apparently is very large, but I can kind of ignore that. To get the center of this portion, if I do hover over this for just a few seconds, it should give me the option to snap to the center there. Oh, I saw it for a second there. It fell away. So there it is right there. So there's the center. So I click on that. It'll give me the nice center of that. And don't worry if it doesn't look like it's exactly lined up. It's because I changed the view a little bit. So go back into types. And then we need to do a straight tap. So click on straight tap. And I do want to do a 632. And I wanted to do through all. So through all is good here. Then I'll click accept. You'll notice I have that nice hole, and it is centered perfectly there, which is good. And now I want to mirror those features about the right plane. So I click on the right plane, or click on the mirror tool again. Just like the sketch, it doesn't matter which order you do this in. And then I want to mirror both my cut extrude and my tapped hole. Sometimes you gotta click that more than once or hold control and it'll give it to you. But make sure you have both of those selected and then click OK or the green check mark. And then that looks pretty good. There's one feature on here that I forgot to add a call out for, which was the chamfer around this inner circle. But that is actually done by going into this caret next to fillet, and then you click chamfer, click on this inside edge, and the value for that was 0.01 inches. So you just add that there. And again, this is kind of the one last little piece, not that big of a deal. And that's it for this part. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all next week.